Hey there, you're listening to Genoa's Arcs, a self-reflective podcast exploring transformation with purpose, honoring growth and connection through awareness and presence. This is your host, Genoa K. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This episode contains reflections on trauma and emotional recovery. It is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Please trust yourself and seek support as needed from a licensed mental health or healthcare provider. The views expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect those of any guests, sponsors, or platform providers. As the creator and host of this podcast, I believe that service and sustainability go hand in hand. The idea that serving others must mean depleting yourself or working for free is a myth I choose to not perpetuate. While much of this content is freely available, you may hear sponsored messages or occasional requests for financial support, all of which help to keep this space alive and well. Some content may be offered through a paywall as a way to honor the time, energy, and skill it took to create them. If access to paid content is a barrier for you, please visit the show notes for more information. This is episode 6 of a storytelling series within this podcast called The 6 Arcs, a Spiral Journey into Emotional Recovery. Each arc contains 10 episodes and traces a story of emotional recovery, reflecting the non-linear, often turbulent nature of finding the way back to yourself. Arc 1, Reclaiming Innocence, is where it all begins. The first moment you realize something is stirring. It's about awakening and making contact with the parts of us that trauma buried, distorted, and silenced. It's the beginning of a return to play, curiosity, creativity, and to the deeper truth of who we are beneath the coping and despair. This is the phase where our inner world doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It tiptoes in, often disguised as a question. Remember me? Up to this point, we've explored the meaning of innocence, how it's been distorted, and how we begin to reclaim it through creativity, play, and connection to the inner child. We've also explored the reality of the messy, non-linear journey of emotional recovery. But once we begin to reclaim innocence, we also have to learn how to protect it. In this episode, we'll explore boundaries and self-protection, or as I like to frame it, guarding the garden. Not to shut life out, but to create a safe place where what you've reclaimed can grow. Part 1. The difference between walls and healthy boundaries. Let's start here. Walls keep everything out. Boundaries let the right things in. Walls are built from fear, from the belief that no one can be trusted, so no one gets access, ever. Boundaries, on the other hand, are built from clarity and self-respect. They say, I know what I need, I know what I can offer, and I know what I will no longer tolerate. If you grew up without safe models of boundaries, or worse, had your boundaries consistently ignored or punished, it's easy to confuse the two. Many trauma survivors learn early on that the only way to stay safe is to shut down completely, to disappear, to become hypervigilant and controlling of everything and everyone around them. But here's the thing. Healthy boundaries are not about control. They're about capacity. They allow you to stay open and grounded, to connect without losing yourself, to care without collapsing, and perhaps most importantly, they teach your inner child that this time, someone is finally looking out for them. Part 2. Rebuilding trust with yourself. You can't set consistent, meaningful boundaries without first rebuilding trust with yourself. That means learning to listen to your gut before it starts screaming, keep promises to yourself, even the small ones, be kind to yourself when you make a mistake, honor your limits without shame, say no without over-explaining, recognize when your yes is coming from fear, guilt, or people-pleasing. For a long time, I didn't trust myself, not because I was untrustworthy, but because I had internalized the belief that other people's needs, opinions, and reactions mattered more than my own. That's what trauma often teaches us, that our safety depends on abandoning ourselves. But self-trust is how we reverse that. Every time you honor a small instinct, every time you protect your time, your energy, your peace, You send a message to the most vulnerable parts of yourself. You matter now. I'm listening. I've got you. Part 3. Guarding your reclaimed innocence with clarity and care. Innocence is sacred. Once you begin to reclaim it, it's important to protect it. Not in a defensive way, but in a way that says, I've worked hard for this softness. I've fought to feel joy again. I've unlearned so much just to be able to feel safe in my own skin. And because of that, not everyone gets access to me in the same way anymore. I get to choose. Protecting your reclaimed innocence doesn't mean closing yourself off from love, connection, or growth. It means being discerning. It means knowing that you no longer have to prove your worth by staying in harmful dynamics or overextending yourself for people who haven't earned your vulnerability. It also means giving yourself the benefit of the doubt, not gaslighting your own discomfort, not forcing yourself to smile when your body is screaming no. Boundaries are how we honor our emotional recovery. They are the fence we build around the garden of our innocence, not to keep everything out, but to make sure what we've nurtured can grow undisturbed. Part 4. Closing reflection. If you've struggled with boundaries, you're not broken. You're just someone who wasn't taught or allowed to have them. But it's never too late to learn. It's never too late to protect what's sacred within you. And the more you trust yourself, the more naturally your boundaries will take shape, not as walls, but as declarations. I know who I am now, I know what I need, and I am no longer available for anything that dishonors that truth. Thank you, as always, for walking this path with me. I'm so glad you're here. If you've found value in today's episode and you'd like to support the ongoing creation of this space, you'll find ways to do so in the show notes. Support here is always optional, but also deeply appreciated. On the next episode, we'll talk about the masks we wear, how trauma often teaches us to perform instead of be, and how authenticity becomes the next frontier in reclaiming innocence. Until next time, take good care. Genoa's Arcs is written, recorded, and produced by Genoa K. Original music composed and produced by Genoa K.